Hello everyone, this is Darker Joe, and today I'm going to be talking about the balance patch for for May 9th. Now, originally I wanted to do this look through the first time on Friday and do a recording of that, but I couldn't be able to do it, so I'm just going to do it now. So basically, to sum it up, Moon Haste, Fire Ravi, and Seline are the three major winners of this. If anyone hasn't seen any other content creators do this, that's pretty much what a lot of people are saying too. And this one's we'll have to see exactly how much attack damage they increase for her. But she definitely has potential to be another winner of this, though. Everyone else is either whatever or they're just throwaway buffs. Like Kane is a throwaway buff. No one's gonna care about this. They try to make him better outside of Rift now that Rift's not fire anymore. It's not going to make a difference. Sage Ball, they give utility buff, and then Bellona is kind of a PvE buff. But we'll talk about one here. So Moon Haste, they kept his dispel in his S1 and his damage based off of health. But now, if you strip a buff on his S1, you activate Blade Retribution as an extra attack. So this extra attack will attack the enemy again, recover his health of all allies, and then does damage based off of your health. They're reducing the damage of his S1 because it makes sense because you're giving him an extra attack, so they're reducing the damage on the S1. So he's gonna have a second hit. Also, if you think about it, this does not mention anywhere that the extra turn cannot proc on outside of his turn. So he could potentially proc Bloody Retribution off of a counter if he strips. I think. Now, we don't know for sure, but the fact that it says activates Bloody Retribution as an extra attack does not specify if it's on his turn. So I think he can proc this off of an extra attack or a dual attack. Actually, let me check real quick before I say that. Because I think Jacko might have the same wording after attacking on the caster's turn. Okay, yeah, so Jacko has that wording of caster's turn. But this one does not specify caster's turn. So I think he could proc it off of a counter or a dual attack. So he might be really strong on counter. But anyways, yeah. So one attacking. So now they're going to give him pen on all of his stuff, not just his S3, because originally he had pen on S3. Now he's going to have pen on everything. He cannot crit, which is fine. You're never going to build him on crit anyways. So they're removing his condition for his barrier. If anyone used to remember Moon Haste, a 25,000 Blood Moon Haste would have if you revive a unit against Blood Moon Haste and he had a 25,000 health Blood Moon Haste, it's a 15 to 20,000 size barrier. It's literally insane. So they're also decreasing the barrier, which of course you have to. Even if you cut it in half, let's say it's 15,000 normally, right? And they cut the barrier in half. Hey, that'd still be a 7,500 HP barrier. That's still massive. So unless we have to see exactly how much they're decreasing the barrier. But when you actually look at this, though, now it says when an ally dies, he gives barrier and immunity to all allies for 2 turns, and grants himself blood aura for 2 turns. And the blood aura is it gives himself effectiveness and speed. So basically now, instead of it being where your enemy has to revive a unit and you get that big ass barrier, now it's when an ally on your side dies. So that makes him a really, really strong anti-cleave and anti-aggro comp, a unit. I guess you could use him in standard too, but keep in note that while that's true, he is an HP scaling unit, so he is also really screwed over by injury units. So Shu is still very. I know, Urban Shadow Shu is really strong. DDR is really strong into him. He's also a dark unit, so he's also very, very easy to focus down with Aiden or LQC, Little Queen Charlotte. And he also procs an extra attack on his S1, so he's also very easy to chain off with Lionheart Sermia. So this is why I'm thinking he's not going to be as broken as some people are saying. He's definitely going to, and when you get to the S3, you'll see why people are saying he's going to be broken, but he's definitely going to have his counters for him. Now his S3 dispels all buffs from the enemy before attacking, and then if you kill an enemy, it revives all dead allies before granting immortality for 1 turn. And then when a caster is granted blood aura, if he has blood aura, it increases the damage dealt, but it basically doubles the damage he's doing. And damage dealt based off his estimate, and they're increasing the damage. So I think it was like a 25k HP Blood Moon Haste. If you were to press S3 on a unit behind Arius, you'll do about 6,000 to 7,000 damage, roughly. I think it was, before behind Arius. So if you got the double off of it, you'll be doing 12 to 14,000 damage, and then but they're also increasing damage though. So we're gonna have to see exactly how much this is. I'm gonna assume a 25 or near 23 to 25k HP Blood Moon Haste will probably do 10 to 14k. Maybe it might do 8 to 10k base, or maybe 16 to 20k when you hit this up. So I'm not gonna say, so just don't expect crazy damage, because it can't be crazy damage, because this ability is insane. It's basically gonna make him a way tankier and less counters version of Spirit Eye Seline. In fact, drafting Spirit Eye Seline plus Blood Moon Haste together might literally be an insane combo, assuming your opponent doesn't pick Briar Witch Assyria, but because that would destroy that combo right there. But yeah, basically he's going to be insane. He's easily going to be a meta unit. I do not know how. He's definitely going to be a meta unit for sure. So if you have him built, build him. Or if you have him, build him now. In fact, I actually built him. If I have the unit built after I talk about the unit, I'll show how I built them. Yeah, so this is the way I built my Blood Moon Haste after the buff. So I'm going to have some effectiveness on him. As I said, counter set I should work on his S1 plus his extra attack. 23k, I couldn't get the 25k, not unless I want to drop some speed or effectiveness. I can get him to 25k if I wanted to drop 30 effectiveness and 20 speed to do it. But honestly, I want to make sure he has okay speed, and I think effectiveness is going to be huge on him, because you want to land that strip on his S1. Plus, he has a full strip on S3, which is very nice. So this is what I think. This is also why I think he's going to be what people I think are underlooking, right? So his S3, his S1, like I said before, he's going to get that. If it works on counter, and Celestine works on extra attack, and I think it does. It says after attacking with a single attack. That should count extra attack if it's a single attack. The amount of sustain he's going to give your team is going to be broken as hell though. I think honestly he'll be broken as hell just off the S1 alone. Because let's say they hit you with an AoE attack, right, and you counter, and they have a buff and you strip it. So it'd be you counter, Celestine procs and heals one of your allies. If you strip the buff, so you extra attack, so you attack again, which procs Celestine a second time and heals another unit by 16%. And then since you did the extra attack, you heal everyone. So you get 2 Celestine procs plus an AoE heal off of 1 counter attack. I think that's how it's going to work. We're going to have to see if Celestine works an extra attack, and we'll have to see if his extra attack can proc off of a counter. If that does, holy crap, he's going to be pretty good on that though. Now, as far as the other stuff goes, yeah, it's going to be really insane. He's going to be for sure. If you have him, build him. Sage Ball. I have him, but I haven't built him because honestly, this change isn't going to make that big of a difference. I mean, it is going to make a difference for him. He'll be easier to play basically. Basically, they're making his sleep is from 85% chance to sleep back up. It's only up to 100. That's the only change he's getting. So it's because if you think about it, he had 85% chance to sleep. So he had a 15% chance to miss his sleep, and then you land it. And then there's a 15% chance for you to not land it because 15%. And if they have immunity, there's also a 15% chance you might not even dispel the buff. So basically, back then, how Sage Ball worked, you actually had to go through 3 15% checks. People kept saying 2, but if they have immunity, you're going for 3 15% checks, because you're checking to make sure you strip the immunity. Then you're checking to make sure you hit the 100% chance to land sleep. It's, how it used to be, because it used to be 85%. And then you check to make sure you don't get 15% in the general of landing it. So back then he had 3 15% checks. Now it's just going to be 2. And if they don't have immunity, it's just gonna be one 15% check. So, or you have another unit that goes to strips the immunity, then it'll just be one check. But basically, he's gonna be a little more consistent. But in the end, his other issues are kind of like, honestly, I think some of the issues might just be the fact that he's easier to counter. Like, you can just pick design a little bit. You can pick Dragon King Sharoon. You can hell, I even just use freaking Howdy Yuffie, and Howdy Yuffie just laughs in his face. Then obviously there's you can injure the hell out of him so that he may sleep you, but after you start injuring him, his S3 will do nothing to you. So who cares about him? There's a lot of other issues with him, but you generally want to use him into like cleave or aggro, or you want to cut their team anyway. So you might be fine. But so Ravi had some interesting changes here. So definitely going to be the second biggest change. Well, some people might say Seline, but this one I think is going to be the biggest change. Some people might think. So basically, she's losing her 35% chance of stun on her S1. Instead, she is getting she always crits now on her S1. So basically, she's losing 35% chance of stun for guaranteed crits. And then her S2 is to be the really interesting one. This is what makes her really good now. So she starts off with 60 Fighting Spirit, and then she gains attack proportional to the caster's max health. So, and the rate of the increased attack effect does not change after it's been activated. So think of it like Christy. Christy gives half of her, like how Christy gives half her ER, and no matter what you do throughout the match, that amount stays that you give the ally. It's kind of like that with yourself, though. So it's like, hey, no matter how low your HP gets, like they start injuring you, you're still keeping that maximum attack value you got at the beginning of the match. So this is basically also, but keep in mind though, this does not mean she is an HP scaling unit. No, she is still an attack scaling unit. You still want to have some attack on your build. It's just now that now you really want to have HP on her, just because you get extra attack off of it. And also keep in mind that she is losing her increased attack and effectiveness when she gets hit or attacks type of thing. So some people I think were kind of saying it might try to cap out at that same value. So they might you might have to build up to get that 75% attack and attack. And so maybe that's the cap of this one. So maybe they're like, well, if you're at like 30k HP, you can get like 75% additional attack. That might be what they're thinking. So that way you could start the game off with maximum attack value instead of getting hit and attacking and then building up to it, because some of these games are way too quick for Fire Ravi to build up for 5 stacks. So maybe like say you're 25k HP, let's say that caps you at like 60 to 70 extra attack percentage, the HP. We'll have to see when we get like data mines of the values and stuff. But I think for her you definitely want like 2,500 attack, at least 2,500 attack, right? I'd say at least 20k HP, but I'd say technically I'd go for 25k HP instead of 20. So like I have Fire Ravi. I built Fire Ravi as well. Yeah, there's my shout here. This is how it is. How my Fire Ravi is: 25k HP, 2,500 attack, a really solid defense actually, full crit damage, high crit damage on counter set of course, and then some speed because she's still getting her push. She's still getting her CR push when she gets hit. So, and then obviously Secret Side. This is how I think. This is how I would like. If you can't hit these values though, obviously you don't have to have this high defense. But if you can't hit this value, like I'd say at the bare minimum of 2,000 attack and 20k HP. Like if you're like lower rank and stuff, I'd say bare minimum is that. But like I think ideally you want to hit around these attack and HP, like 25k HP, and then 2,500 attack. Maybe the value is super high that you can get away with 30k HP and like less attack value. If it's like that, maybe, but we don't know yet. But yeah, so basically she gets attack based off of that. Then after she gets attacked, she still CR pushes, and then here it is. After suffering a critical hit, dispels 1 debuff from the caster, and then dispelling debuff can only activate once per turn. So basically, she has built-in like what was it, Crimson Seed, in a way, but except for it has to be a crit hit. But it's still like, and it's only once per turn, but that's fine. So she has ways to cleanse herself off once per turn, and then her S3. Here's the one that some people are going like, some people are kind of iffy about this though. So you S3, you apply injury, and you still keep your stun, but except for this time, you do not get the decreased CR push when they're stunned, and you lose your penetration. Also, they're increasing the value, increasing the amount you need to S3. It's 90%, 90 fighting spirit instead of 70, which is fine because you start off with 60, and you still get like, I think it's 30 for your S1. Like if you S1 something, it's 30. So it just takes 3 attacks. I think you lose 5 fighting spirit when you don't gain the 5 fighting spirit when you get hit though. So basically, it takes 3 S1s and you can S3 again. Which actually, you know what, makes sense though, because now it's like a really good value of it though. You just go 3, yeah. So you start at 60, they hit you and you counterattack. Boom, you have 90. You can press S3 on your very first turn. Actually, I'm gonna make sure that's true because they didn't specify that they changed the value of the S1's fighting spirit. So let me just make sure I'm not. But I could have sworn it said it was 30. Yeah, acquires 30 fighting spirit. So basically, you would start off with 60. You get hit by an attack. You counter. You gain 30. You're at 90. You can S1. You can S3 on your very first turn, assuming you countered. So yeah, really strong ability actually. And then afterwards, you just need to do is 3 S1s, either by your turns or counters or dual attacks or whatever. They're also changing the one because like the chance to dispel a buff from using S1 was changed to increasing S1 damage because like that they just gave her that inner kit. 70% chance to make target unbuffable when you hit by when you use S1. Who cares? I don't think anyone really used that. That used to be the burn one, which I actually like the burn one. And I wish they gave us back the burn one. And then instead they gave us more damage on the S3. I don't remember what the third one was. Oh, I think it was stun chance, like 10% stun chance on S3. Which is what, 75? That's probably the best one to go. I mean, or you go for this one just for 10% more damage on slaughter, which you're going to be using a lot often anyways. Alright, Kane I'm going to go through quickly because this one's not going to make any difference, in anything. So they got rid of the bleed off the initial S1. I believe this is the S1. And the fact that you ignore effect resistance, and they put the bleed and ignore effect resistance, and they put the ignore effect resistance and the bleed part in the extra attack instead of just the base attack. And they gave him 15% CR push. Ooh. Also, he's losing his 50%. He's losing his 50 fighting spirit he starts the match off with, and they're giving him the fact that he can use his he gets fighting spirit whenever an enemy is attacked with a debuff. Which this is fine though. Replacing it from bleed to any debuff, that's nice. That's a good buff. But they're just straight up removing his 50 fighting spirit he starts off with. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Maybe they're just getting rid of the whole fighting spirit part in general. Maybe that's what. Hold on. When the Catcher's Rage activates, I think they're getting rid of the whole fighting spirit part in general. No, you still gain 10 fighting spirit. Well, that's the part. Yeah, I'm stupid. That's what he's gaining 10 fighting spirit when you and then. So basically, he's gonna lose his 50 fighting spirit. So it's gonna take him a long time to get enraged. They literally just made him take twice as long to get enraged now. Well, maybe not because you're gonna have this 10 fighting spirit when you're hitting a unit, hitting someone that's debuffed. But like, great, it's gonna take longer for you to get enraged now. At least back then, the current one you would start off with 50 fighting spirit. You could still S3 on your turn 1. It gives you 50 fighting spirit, and then you can still become enraged on your next turn. But no, they're gonna make it so you have to wait or debuff the hell out of it. So basically, this is like, if you had any hope of using this unit in RTA or any PvP aspects, this just destroyed it completely. So that could be fun. I mean, he's always a PvE unit anyways, and specifically a Rift, but now the Rift's not fire anymore. He's gonna be useless, and this buff is not gonna do anything. Literally, you might as well just remove this unit from the game. until Fire Rift comes back around, because that's just terrible. Bellona. All right, now this one I'm somewhat looking forward to, depending how much damage they increase, because I love green Bellona. I would love to use her more. I mean, I have her built, but I have her built on a weird build. So this is my Bellona. I have her on like a high attack, some bulk, some effectiveness, and just on drink, because she can proc drink pretty much on her first 3 turns, because she'll S3, which would proc drink. She would S2, which will proc drink. She would S1, which then S3s, which would proc drink. Though I may switch her to a damage build, speed damage build, depending on the situation. But because now they're getting rid of her soul burn that used to be on her S3. You just soul burn for 10 for extra damage. They're giving her 20 soul burn, extra turn on her S1, which makes sense actually, because now you think about it, it's like, okay, you S3 on your first turn, then when it's her turn again, let's say you have 20 souls, you just S1 S1, and then you'll just proc the S3 again. That'd be cool. So let's say you have something like green Bellona plus green Lots. That's something I would probably do actually. Just have Bellona go S3 as a unit, and then green Lots pushes the Bellona back up. You have 20 souls from somewhere, and you just soul burn S1, and then you proc S3 again. So either way, they're also increasing the damage for S2, and they're increasing the damage over S3, and then they're increasing the damage dealt of her S3 even more if you procced it from the S1. Also, they're increasing the chance to land Death Break from 80 to 100% now, so now she has a full 100% Death Break AoE. And like I said before, increasing the damage of her S3 once she procs with S1 with increased base damage. So depending how much more damage she gets, she might be a fun unit to use. And she's a ranger, so you can put her on Guiding Light. Or it can be funny like I used to, and I just had her on counter for a while, so you just counter into an S3. I think she'd be fun to use, depending on how much damage they increase, but usually when it comes to this kind of stuff, where they just increase damage across the board, it's like 0.1 or like 0.05. It's not going to be a significant increase. They'll make her better in PvE content, but unless they increase the damage a lot, I don't think they're going to make this a unit viable in like RTA. Maybe Arena or Guild Wars when you have, a choice of when to use said units, but in RTA it might be too rough to use her. Oh, they're also getting rid of the whole chance of Death Break more on the S3, because obviously she's getting it in her kit, and now you're going to decrease the Butterfly fan by 1, which actually, you know what? I might as well also be in here anyway, so I can switch to Seline right afterwards. So that's why I don't mind doing this. Which actually, what is the cooldown of this? It is 3 turns, right? Yeah, it's 3 turns. So it goes down to 2 turns. So it's a 2-turn ability. It's pretty good. Alright, I might as well go to this now, because we're going to talk about Seline. Seline is going to get a pretty big change. Okay, so they're getting rid of the whole, when a critical hit, you do extra damage when you crit. They're basically but they're increasing her damage of the S1. So basically, it's probably going to equal about that much. So it's probably going to be. So let's say this is like a 20% increased damage, I think, which it might have been. It's probably a 20% increase here. So it's probably going to equal out. Then they're going to give. So instead of doing that, they're going to give her stealth when she uses S1, which is very, very huge. Then she starts to match off with stealth. So now she can't get hit by stuff like Zeo. If anyone's still trying to use like A Sid or A Kali or Green Sid, they can't hit her. Also, it's 2 turns, so they can't use stuff like Conqueror Lilius. If they press S3 on Conqueror Lilius, it does not strip, because it'll only lower it by 1. Also, if you proc the you use intuition or blank from intuition, you gain 10 souls, which is enough for you. It's enough for you to use your S3. So, yeah, and she pushes up by 30 now instead of 20, and they're increasing the damage of the S2. So She's getting more damage on. Well, this her S2. Well, her S1 damage is probably going to equal out what she is. So she's not getting more. Really, she's technically not gaining any more damage on her S1. It's probably the same. But she's gaining damage on her S2, and she's going to get stealth to make her really annoying to hit, and higher CR push and souls. So this is how I've had her built. I've always had a tank Seline. And actually, because like, if you're going higher, if you're going a high damage but low bulk Seline, you probably already have enough damage to, so you're like, so getting more damage, you're probably thinking like, well, that can lower some of the damage and lower some of the speed to, increase their bulk. So I think more people are going to get rid of the whole glass cannon full damage Selines and put more bulk into them. Like, I love this build. This build is funny because like no one can just one tap her outside of stuff like, okay, they could probably one tap her with like Galileu's maybe, but like who in their right mind is going to use Galileu's S3 on Seline when Seline's usually only like what 12k if not less. They're not going to risk that. Speaking of Galileu's, like I've had her survive like a lot of units. Like they have them like, oh, I don't want to proc Seline, so I'm going to have like my entire team use their abilities on Seline, and then like, all right, well, she might have almost died, but she's still alive, and you still can't press your non-attack skills. And now with the stealth, it's like, yeah, you're probably going to be scared to do that, because if you try to hit me with units that remove, that are AOE that remove stealth, they might also be a non-attack skill. So this would be fun. She's already a pretty, kind of a annoying unit to fight and pretty strong. She's gonna be even stronger now. She's gonna be seen a lot. So yeah, look forward to Seline. Seline is going to be very strong. Oh yeah, so they're getting rid of the whole stealth when you use blink, because obviously she's gonna have it, so they're gonna make it so you stun on her S2 now. Some people are saying like, oh, it's great, it'll work against Janua. Like, well, then you're gonna have to get rid of the it targets the highest attack unit, so it does work against Janua, assuming you'll hit the Janua with her S2, because it'd be 25% chance that you land the right unit. So yeah. Last piece, Karen. So I did not actually build her. I have her. I just don't haven't built her. So I can't fully say like how she is or how much she's going to change, because like I fought her a lot, but like you don't see her as much often now. So, but since I don't play her, I can't really say. But yeah, basically they're making it so her S2 is this yes yeah pushes the enemy back by 30%. In case you don't kill, but they're increasing the damage of it. Also, her S3, now it does... So now her S3 ignores damage reduction as well as damage sharing. So this is actually pretty huge, because that means she's going to ignore stuff like, she's going to ignore the mitigation from like Carmen or Albedo. She'll ignore all that. She'll ignore Proof of Valor. I think she also technically now ignores Zio and Sage Vivian's built-in passives, because that is damage reduction. Because like Sage Vivian's like what 70% reduction, and then Zio's 50%, or is it the other way around? I don't remember which one's which. I know one's 50% damage reduction, the other one's 70% damage reduction. So does that mean that LPK can literally just one-shot a Zio, even a bulky Zio, and one-shot like Sage Vivian's now, because she's just going to ignore it? Huh. That actually is going to make her really strong, because a lot of people still use Zio, and Zio is still... I mean, I'm probably the only one who does a tanky Zio, but some people do like to do the whole like 11k HP, 1200 defense Zio type of thing with the mitigation plus Arius behind it. It'll survive a hit or two, but with this, you just die. But there is a drawback though, because now she doesn't get a cleanse anymore. Like how it says, dispels 2 debuffs. I mean, she doesn't dispel 2 debuffs anymore. And she doesn't get the reduced cooldown when she kills a unit, but that's fine because they're reducing the cooldown in base anyways. So it's, And then the artifact. Okay, I'll make this quick because I don't want this video being too long. But this is fine. This is not much to really talk about. So Alex's Basket. It used to go from 20 to 40% chance to give you gab or crit chance. Now it's changed to 35 to 70% chance for attack buff or 20 to 40% chance for gab. This is very, very good because there's been a lot of times where, first of all, crit chance is like mostly useless. There are times you might want it. Like, let's say there's times I would use a unit that actually no, wait, that's a bad example. I think the only time I ever had like 50% crit chance where I kind of like hoped for landing a crit chance buff was like Bellion, but that's a different story. This is a thief. On someone like a thief where it's like a damage dealer, you need damage, you have to be 100% crit rate. The only exception I think would be like stuff like, say, your Green Sid, and like your S3, it's going to give you elemental advantage anyway, so your S3 was always going to have that max crit rate, but then your S1 could technically lose. You might miss the crit on your S1 if you have 85% crit chance, in which case the crit chance buff you get would help with that. Which I guess, but honestly, you're always going to rather have the chance for, if you don't get gab, at least you get an attack buff. That could save you so many times. Which would make, and I mean, there's only like 2 units that really use this artifact anyways, and that's Tempest and Arby are the only 2 units that really use this artifact. Most people are going to use Wind Rider or whatever their Pacific evasion artifact they want to go for. Abyssal Crown goes from 12 to 24 to 15 and 30. So basically, it's going to go from 3. You're going to gain 3 to 6 extra chance to stun. Really toxic, but kind of needed, right? So yeah, 30% chance of stun. Put this on a unit that already has a 25% chance to stun the S1. It would be really scary to fight Ainz if Ainz lands all that stuns, or Politis. So yeah. Anyways, like I said before, I think Moon Haste is going to be very, very strong once released. I think Fire Ravi is potentially going to also be really strong. She's going to be really fun to play too. I think Seline is going to be a monster as well. LPK is the one I'm kind of questioning on. We got to see how much more damage she really gets. Same with Bellona, actually. I think she has potential in RTA. If she gets a pretty decent size damage buff on her S2 and S3, and then the S3, once you proc it from S1, gets a pretty good buff too. With, because obviously now she has a 100% chance to Death Break now. And you can get the exclusive equipment that gives her that, 20% CR pushback on the enemies when you do that. She could still be pretty strong. She does okay damage on a high damage. I've used her before. But if this makes her go from okay damage to pretty good damage, then might be worth using her. So we'll have to see. Sage Ball is probably gonna he'll be a little more consistent against the matchups he's good into. So cool. And then no one really cares about Kane. You might as well just not put him on this list. Yeah. So yeah, basically that was my list here. My thoughts on the list here. Units I would have loved to see, a little bit, honestly. I've always would say that, but yeah, that's just me. Anyways, I will probably do another video. I'll probably upload this one today. This is Sunday. I'll probably upload on Sunday. I'm actually going to record another video talking about the collab, and I'll probably upload that tomorrow. So, yeah. Until then, I'll see you guys next video.